Another week in the books for Galaxy of Heroes, and we have once again come away with this week with very little information from Capital Games. But there's still a lot of stuff that happened in this community, so we are going to jump all into it in this little bit of a shortened version of Good and Bad. Hey everyone, this is Finity with Reality Skewed Gamers with another episode of Good and Bad. Now, what do we do here? Well, we go through the week's events in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and give it either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on what we thought about it, and then ultimately grade the entire week. Now, for the first thing that we're going to talk about, I do have to go back to last week. Now, in last week's Good and Bad, I did this. To get Galactic Legend Rey, we are going to need a relic, Rose Tico, and you know how I feel about that. I am giving this a thumbs up because that finally gives my Rose a purpose. That's right, I gave Rose Tico a thumbs up, even though she is the worst character of all of the tiers between both light side and dark side Rey and Kylo requirements. She is a character that doesn't have much use since the Friend rework, and she also does not have a ship, which actually gives Resistance Pilot a little bit more value than Rose Tico. Even though Rose Tico has hit hard and I had to Relic 7 her for the American Cancer Society, which I appreciated doing though, Rose Tico did not deserve a thumbs up. Ultimately, she really did deserve a thumbs down, and I was called a dingo for this, and so for that, I am giving myself a thumbs down for my Rose Tico review last week. I have to try and be a little bit more objective, but I did like to see a reason for my Relic 7 Rose Tico. But that being said, this week was a great improvement for my roster because I, with only 2 Relic characters, with a General Kenobi Relic and a B1 Relic, managed to complete the gas event and got myself a General Anakin Skywalker. So because of that, I have to give a thumbs up. My roster took a very nice turn here, and so I'm continuing to work on him with his gear and his shards. But if you guys have seen the way that I do my reviews and when I do these events, I don't typically like to go in by actually seeing any guides. To me, the way I like to do it is to go into these events, play around with it at the beginning without really remodding, testing it out, trying to see if I can figure out what sequence I want to do, how I want to remod them, what am I seeing, and what is the strategy, and then working with the community as well while I'm live streaming it, and then doing mod modifications and running through attempts. Well, with Phase 2 really didn't have that much of a difference. Phase 4 obviously had the little bit of a change to General Skywalker, which we'll talk about here in a second, but with the change to General Skywalker, strategy I had to use was it seemed to be much more difficult than others had to do it, and I did manage to find a modding sequence and get it done, and I made my first tutorial video in quite a while. It's been hard for me to make those because usually I'm not on the cutting edge of a lot of the content. Being a free-to-play player, I'm not getting these characters right off the bat, but with this bug and my attempts, I was able to put out something, and I love the responses from the community, and a lot of you guys seem to be able to gain some benefit from this video and manage to get gas yourself with this modding technique. So because of that, I want to give a thumbs up to the community. I am so glad that I was able to help a lot of you with getting gas this event with the bug, and so I'm going to try and get more tutorial videos out for you guys. It's just obviously, hopefully it's not a little bit late to the game because it takes me a little while to get this stuff, but between myself and Ranger and Grande and Loki, we'll try to get you that stuff out there a little bit quicker. And then that brings us to the gas event and the bug, which, if you can guess, I am giving it a thumbs down. The bug was a pain in the butt. To first off, for Crumb and CG to come out saying that they didn't see a change in the balance was already ludicrous enough, right? The PvP, we all know that Arena and stuff was really seeing these hits. It was affecting a lot of the CLS counters. This was not a good thing to have left. But in the actual event, the counter-attacking of Anakin, again, his basic ignores defense, he did some major hits on your characters. He even made it so that you had to remod it, where I was originally trying with a Magna Guard, for example, with defense set, and while that really helps against clones, it doesn't help against gas, but that extra hit from gas just wrecked Magna Guard every single time, and so I had to change my strategy because of it. This was, by all accounts, the hardest version of gas because of that extra hit. So the third time that this event has come out is now the hardest part because they refused to change back a bug and said that they were going to leave it as is. If this doesn't deserve a thumbs down, I really don't know what does. It continues the impression that CG does not play this game enough. CG really needs to start getting more feedback from the players. I feel really bad for a lot of the players that got really close, but this bug was the difference for them because those extra hits definitely made a big impact. So once again, this is getting a thumbs down. The gas event is not working the way it should. For the third release, it is more difficult than the first and second release. That is not the way content should go. Content should get easier over time so that players that get it later are getting it a little bit quicker so they can try and catch up. And so if we now head to reviewing this week, again, this was kind of a short week. The only information that they put out was a server update that had 2 bug fixes, and I don't even know what to grade this. I'll give it a thumbs up. They fixed some bugs. Hooray. But really no content, nothing about the Galactic Legends, no even response again about the General Skywalker and how much it impacted the event. All of this, as you can probably guess, leads to a thumbs down this week because of the gas event and how much it actually impacted the ability for a lot of players to even get gas.
Dr. Finn, medicine woman, I've got a bad case of the SWGOH blues.
So it is kind of disappointing overall how this week turned out. I am happy that I got my gas, but I understand that I was a little bit fortunate with all of this, and there were several others that were not. Hopefully CG learns from this and does revert back General Skywalker back to what he was, so that the next time he comes around, even though this is going to be a 2 to 4 month delay for those people, hopefully they're able to get General Skywalker. So with that, I am Infinity with Reality Skewed Gamers. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Good and Bad. Again, a little bit of a shortened version because CG is not giving us anything to go off of right now. But hopefully next week we'll have some more content, and I am signing out. Take care.